performance. So I'm going to ask questions about how do students approach artificial intelligence and what is the impact of this on their cognitive skills. Also, I'm going to compare or find the relationship between AI and old frameworks of learning, especially in the past. And finally, we're going to see solutions. How can we, as educators, restore our agency from AI and support students' learning, and also while using AI? So I would like to start with a very foundational framework in learning and especially in psychology education, which is called Bloom taxonomy. So as you can see here, we have different stages of learning. We have remembering, it goes to understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and finally creating. So we can say that these two stages are very basic, like extremely basic, because there is no creation, no analysis, nothing. So we're going to ask this question. According to Bloom's taxonomy, creativity or analysis and evaluation and creation are highest forms of learning. So based on such framework, we are going to answer these three questions, okay? So let me start with the conceptually analyzing assumptions of learning. So first, in the past, especially before the World War I and during the World War I, there was like a philosophical movement which is called Structuralism. Structuralism believes that all human cultures, knowledge and behavior are shaped by underlying structures. There is a structure. These structures are hidden somewhere beneath the surface. So these structures shape the way of how we perceive the world and how we make meanings and interact with each other. Right. So if I say, according to the structuralist framework, if I say the word hot, it only means hot because it's not cold. For example, if I say the banana is reading a book, or if I say the mouse is writing financial reports, is it grammatically correct? Yes or no? Yes. Yes. But it's not correct, it's not meaningful. That's the problem, because we reject, as humans, we can say no to things. Right? And I'm going to elaborate after that the relationship between AI and these philosophers. Chomsky provides the same critique. He says, colorless green ideas sleep furiously, so it doesn't make any sense. So here, the problem with structuralism is too deterministic, and also it overlooks or ignores human agency of negotiating meaning and thinking. It gives you the structure as it is, right? So, behaviorism confirmed the same arguments of structuralism, because behaviorism was inspired by structuralism. So, both structuralism and behaviorism perceive humans are as passive learners. They don't acknowledge their creative inputs. So, for example, behaviorism is based on repetition in learning. Okay? So, it teaches you how to practice things mechanically in order to become habits. If, for example, structuralism gives you the rules, if structuralism provides the rules as fixed structures, behaviorism teaches you how to practice these rules to become habits. So behaviorism also dehumanizes humans, because we become like animals, because we don't think, we just absorb things. So here, if we can say that because of this ideology, we had Hitler. Because of this ideology, we had dangerous people. Because these dangerous people, they use, for example, structures as universal. For example, Hitler, he says, my structure is universal, it's the best. My holy book, for example, if I'm a Christian or a Jew or something, is the best. You have to follow me because I have the structure. So they use schools in order to instill these structures so they become behaviors. So finally the student is indoctrinated, passive, it's like a robot. He absorbs these structures as truth, as haqiqah, so they don't negotiate. With this framework of structuralism and behaviorism, we have knowledge and meaning as fixed. The teacher is authority and censure. The student is passive. The methods of learning were rote learning, repetition, and memorization. So how classic frameworks of learning are reproduced through students' passive approaches to AI? How? This is the catch. If ChatGPT hallucinates, because sometimes ChatGPT just gives you random things. If it says the banana is reading a book or the mouse is writing financial reports, you're going to take it as it is, like you don't negotiate. Can you imagine that even remembering, the blue taxonomy is ignored by students. Sometimes they don't even need to remember, they just give you what's there. So here, the teacher is authority, censure and the source, like for example, Fqih in Libsid, in Morocco, for example. So you don't question the teacher, don't question the Fqih. Meaning is taken as fixed, absolute, not questioned. The learning is passive, and student critical thinking is extremely low, non-existent. That's the catch. So, historically, after that, some people came there and they stated that to understand is to invent, for example, cognitive constructivism. After that, they realized, scholars and scientists, they realized that if we keep working with behaviorism and perceive people as passive, we're going to create dangerous people. Okay? They just do what they are told and take it for granted without critical thinking. So, understanding is doing things. To understand something, I can do it and I can apply it. And also, we have to ask, do students construct or reconstruct knowledge or passively absorb it? Roland Bach, he says, the birth of the, please pay attention to the headings because they said, they show you what I'm talking about. The birth of the teacher must be at the cost of the death of the author. Okay? يعني الولادة ديال القارئ تتكون ملي كيموت هذاك كاتب, right? So I say, and I'm someone living in the class somewhere, I say, is the birth of a student means the death of AI? This is a philosophical question. Should we abandon AI to retain our intellectual faculties? Or should we negotiate AI machines with modern pedagogy? And now I'm going to speak because cognitive constructivism perceives knowledge as construct, teacher as facilitator, student as active, meaning is negotiable, and methods of teaching are based on critical pedagogy or constructivism or social constructivism, where students, they construct knowledge together. So here, we have different cognitive processes. So cognitive processes include attention memory, producing and understanding language, solving problems and making decisions. Do our students solve problems and make decisions, or they just following the structure? So here I'm going to speak about some empirical findings that show the impact of AI on students' cognitive skills. So, 2 minutes. Okay, so this one is cognitive offloading. Okay, I'm going to summarize this because I don't have time. So cognitive offloading is that using the AI as a crutch. So you don't think, you outsource your thinking to the AI machine. Metacognitive laziness. Metacognitive is thinking about the thinking, so you don't think at all. So students spend less time evaluating their work and spending time. They don't do that. Superficial level of engagement. Students, they just copy and paste what's there. Okay, so these are the arguments of this. Another study says that students accept AI output without critical evaluation, exhibit superficial engagement, demonstrate weakened argument skills. I was in a conference and I met Mark Dressman, and I asked him, how can we, for example, assist students to use AI critically? And he said that the trick is to require more complex assignments and not accept whatever they give you. You want to teach students to be critical thinkers, you have to be critical of what they give you. You have to raise the standards. So how can we raise the standards? So here I'm going to show how can we change our pedagogy and raise the standards, for example, to accommodate with AI output. So the first, I have 4 studies and I finish. First study, so the claim is this. We ask students to submit AI answers, okay, and conduct critical evaluation. For example, for example, to use ChatGPT to answer question X, for example, students identify the flaws of that answer. Phenotypic problem for the answer, okay? So they have to improve the flaws. The finding of this first study shows that students develop stronger critical thinking when they analyze and revise all AI outputs before consuming them. The second study asks us to designing project-based assignments, PBL. What is it? Students create a document on Moroccan youth entrepreneurs and how they use their supply chain. Comparative projects. They can use AI tools but must justify the choices and sourcing. This means we give students projects to work collaboratively and they compare. And they can use AI, but they are working on a case, something real, physical. Okay? So AI super project-based learning significantly improves critical thinking. This is the 2 studies and I finished. The third study is this. Forcing students to demonstrate their thinking process and reflect on them instead of providing surface-level final answers. We teachers grade drafts, prompts, history, the quality of questions students use in their ChatGPT conversations in reasoning process. So here, for example, students bring and submit their prompts. Prompts, the historical prompts of the ChatGPT. All outputs. Students express their reflection. They reflect on these outputs, for example, and about the results. Reflexive thinking, orally in classroom or oral in defense. For example, I give my students a project. You use ChatGPT. Now, speak with me. Tell me, what about it? How do you reflect on these things, right? So here, requiring iterative reasoning and reflection forces students to engage critically. Iterative is like going back and forth about the answers. And the last study is this. Personalizing assignments reinforce autonomy and ownership. For example, students choose a real local business cafe or brand that they know. Brand, for example, and they conduct, for example, they should be, the business should be known to the students for the weak marketing strategy. For example, how the business has weak marketing strategies. So we study this business and we come up with own strategies or alternative marketing tactics that may help that business flourish. So This is going to help students be realistic and also work on real cases instead of just regenerating AI. So we have to personalize the instructions. The conclusion. HECF, what's there? AI in education is not neutral. When used critically, it tends to reinforce neo-structuralism and behaviorist models of learning, which is passive. Encouraging passivity, cognitive offloading, and superficial engagement at the expense of higher order thinking skills like Bloom taxonomy, evaluation, creation, and critical thinking. However, the challenge lies not in the AI itself. We cannot ignore AI or abandon it. It's our evolution as humans, but in its pedagogical use. So when educators design tasks that require critical evaluation, reflection, active knowledge construction, AI can shift from a cognitive crutch to a powerful cognitive partner. Therefore, the role of the teacher becomes essential in ensuring that students remain intellectually active, critically engaged, and cognitively autonomous in an AI-mediated learning environment. Thank you very much, Vanessa, for the time and for your attendance and attention. These are the references, and if you have any questions, thank you.
Est-ce que vous avez des questions en rapport avec M. Saïd? Oui,
c'est pas vraiment une question, mais je voulais, parce que c'est la première fois que j'assiste. The first time that I see you presenting, and I'm really fascinated by the way comment dirais-je, je vais mixer l'anglais et le français. Vous avez capté notre attention. Et les informations étaient très riches, sincèrement, je vous félicite par rapport à ça.
C'est vrai que c'était très intéressant la manière avec laquelle moi j'ai l'habitude avec M. Saïd il nous fait des présentations à chaque fois, c'est excellent et à chaque fois c'est très intéressant la manière en fait, j'aimerais bien que les étudiants aussi s'inspirent de la manière critique avec laquelle il a fait cette présentation parce que vous êtes basé sur une comparaison de l'analyse structuralisme, et le behaviorism.
Yes.
Et vous avez fait une comparaison, mais toujours une comparaison critique, c'est-à-dire où il donne son avis en se basant sur quand même des sources théoriques, en se basant sur des auteurs, des vraies études qui ont été faites. On fait une lecture critique et ça c'est tout à votre honneur. C'était rien à dire.
Je vais remplir la fiche.
I really appreciate it. It's my pleasure. Also, it's a very important thing. Questions in French or something, you can ask me in Arabic or French, and I'm going to answer you, but it's simple English, it's not complicated. I'm trying to
Effectivement. Même la prononciation, elle nous a aidé. Parce que l'accent prononce très bien et sincèrement, c'est pas facile de suivre, c'est pas difficile de suivre. C'est très fluent.
Interact with students every day, you know.
Yes.
They have to understand you. If you complicate things, most of them, it's all about communication. If the communication is not clear, there is no understanding, nothing, you know? That's how it works.